Hello, my name is Pastor Dan Isaac, and this is the World Religions class studio recording of the lecture held at the Gateway Legacy Christian Academy on Monday, the 18th of October, 2021. We are currently doing the first few chapters of our World Religions class introduction. Today I begin first by going through a definition of some really important words that we will use during this lecture. First, I'm going to talk about matter. So matter is physical substance in general. Matter is as distinct or separate from mind and spirit. And in physics, matter is that which occupies space and possesses rest mass. Now, matter is especially distinct from energy because energy is the property of matter and radiation, which is manifest as a capacity to perform work. This is as a result of causing motion or the interaction of molecules. Atoms are a source of nuclear energy. And when I talk about power, power is energy that is produced by either mechanical, electrical, or other means, and power can be used in a constructive or productive way, also can be used to operate devices, machines, and so on and so forth. And then I use this word, which I really like a lot. I find it a very interesting word. I'm talking about chaos. And chaos is complete disorder and confusion. Now, our assumption here is that there is a God. That's where we're beginning with. And when we're talking about the assumption that God exists, we are not just using the word faith. When we talk about science and religion, the reason that science and religion are existing currently on the two opposite ends of the spectrum is because science wants to base all of its findings on testings and what they call facts. But because science uses testing and results, science distances itself from religion. And that's because religion, as we understand it, is based on faith. Religion is trying to explain or create a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Religion tries to explain the spiritual or the supernatural. And because what scientists feel is that religion operates purely on faith, and the word faith by scientists is regarded as something that's just the belief, the senseless belief. There's no evidence for them to believe. And because of these baseless beliefs, science accepts that religion is based on baseless, without tests, without evidence, without fact, beliefs that they call faith. But through this World Religions class, we're trying to redefine these words. We're trying to bridge the gap between science and religion, because what we believe is that both science and religion can merge together, we can hopefully exist at the fine line, at the border between where science ends and where religion begins, where religion coexists with science, is because we want to redefine these words without looking through any lens, without looking at science with a preconceived notion, without looking at religion at a bias or lens. And so, when we say that we are believing in God, or when we say that we are assuming that there's a God, the reason that we reach this assumption is because of the principle of causation. The principle of cause and effect, which is a scientific term. And through science, we're trying to explain the reason why religion believes in God. So, because of the principle of causation, and because we understand that cause and effect gives us not just the assumption, but the primary evidence, that the reason that whatever exists here today is because a force, a entity, a being, a higher power, a superpower, a God created all matter, all energy, and all power. Because if there was no primary understanding that cause and effect is the reason that we believe in God, then the only other explanation is complete chaos. There would not be a system. But the very reason that today we see a structure in the universe, we see a system, we see a pattern, and we see all of this existence, and we understand that through a cause, this effect currently exists, that we now base our primary assumption that there's a God. Where did the table that you're sitting at, where did it come from? Somebody, a carpenter, made that table. The chair that you're sitting on, where did that come from? Somebody manufactured that chair. Where are the books, the computers, the laptops that you're using? Where did it come from? Somebody created it. It would be senseless to say that just existed. Where did you come from? Somebody made you, your parents. It would be senseless to say that I just arrived from nowhere. So using these basic primary principles that we call evidence, we are coming to the assumption that there is a God. So based on the assumption that there is a God, we now understand that everything on the earth exists today because a higher being is responsible for it. And we also understand that there was some power and energy involved in the creation or the formation of all the matter. And so all of this energy came from an energy source. That energy source, God. The book of Genesis in the Christian and the Jewish Bible says that in the beginning, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1, it says that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And then the Bible also says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And then the Bible uses a very distinct happening. And God said, let there be light. I've always thought about this. Science says that the Big Bang Theory, that the Big Bang is the reason that everything exists today. But science is not ready to go back and even assume how that Big Bang happened or how whatever exploded happened. If there was nothing, how did it happen? But I always try to find that fine line. Ask yourself this question today. Was the Big Bang the voice of God that said, "Let there be light"? Was the Big Bang the voice of God that created everything that existed? Look at the book of Genesis in the Christian and the Jewish Bible, which says, "And God said, let there be this. And God said, let there be that." Literally, creation over 6 days that the Bible talks about. Have you ever wondered, was that the Big Bang? Was the Big Bang the voice of God? So, moving on. Because because our assumption here is that God is the energy source of all created matter, of all life. Based on these assumptions, we now conclude that God is not who we perceive. God is not an idea. God is more than just an entity. God is more than just male or female, because God is the source of both male and female. God is more than just the highest form of energy and power. He is the source of all life and power. We also come to the conclusion that God is the highest form of authority because the earth and the universe follows a system. It is not chaos. Everything that we have discovered today and everything that we know has a specific pathway, a system, and a process. All life forces, all forces of nature, all life follows a system. There's no living being that follows chaos. Everything follows a system. And we cannot change that system. When we try to change it, we mess with nature. And that's the reason why there are problems created. So because this system exists, we believe that God is the highest form of authority who has set the system in place. We also conclude that God is all-knowing, and because we understand God to be the highest form of intelligence, and we see the result of God's system in the universe, we understand and we assume that God has a similar pathway, a similar system for our life, and that there's a true reason and purpose for us to be alive. We're not just an accident. We're not just some amoeba or microorganism that evolved through multiple forms, and that's the reason why we're here. There's a true reason and a purpose for us to be alive, and there's a reason and a purpose for our existence. And that, my dear friends, that, my dear students, the reason for our existence that is known to God is what we as humans now will define as the truth. So in the previous chapter, we spoke about the 3 false perceptions. So the false perceptions of the world system can be unlearned by a study and a possible relationship with the creator of this earth. And the relationship can begin with communication. So today, people all over this world who are depressed, they're sorrowful, they're angry, they're confused, they're frustrated. People are walking towards suicide. People do not feel that there's a reason for them to be alive, is because they do not know the truth, because the false perceptions of the world has made them depressed. Because the false perceptions of the world, that's a fallacy, that's a lie, that's not the truth. What we need as human beings is truth. And if God has designed a specific pathway and a process for all other life forms, then we too are also part of a process. There's a reason why we're born, there's a reason why we live, and there's a reason why we die, and there's a reason that something happens beyond death. So as we close today, the assignment is that as we begin to seek truth, as we begin to realize and seek the reason for our existence, let's start to communicate with God. And so that's the reason why our assignment tonight is that all week we take 10 minutes to pray, to talk to God, and also to listen. And at the end of this class, you will document your experience during the 8 minutes of your prayer, or the 6 minutes, or the 5 minutes of your prayer, that you will also take 5 minutes or 4 minutes or 2 minutes to listen. At the end of the time of you praying, I'm going to ask you to pray for 5 days or 6 days, because by Sunday at midnight, I would like you to prepare your 300-word essay documenting your experience during these nights of prayer. What happened when you started to reach out to God, to communicate with God. Document that report, and I look forward to read your essay. Also, please go ahead and update all your past assignments based on today's lecture. You will also have, with this email and with this video, you'll have a PDF document that will list out the details and the text, the notes for this class. Please go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because here is where you'll see the lectures that will be uploaded every Thursday at 10 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for taking out the time to attend this lecture, and I will see you on the next one.